Hi, my name is Kurt. I would like to talk to you a little bit about my experiences in a few programs that were for long-term treatment. They're considered wilderness survival, emphasis on the survival. Basically, they take you somewhere, put you in a very stressful situation, both physically and mentally. Emotionally, they're purposely trying to mess with you. They want to break you. They're poking you with a stick, physically exhausting you, not feeding you enough, and putting you in a situation where you just know you can't leave unless you do exactly what they say. It's kidnapping straightforward from the beginning when they escort you. I want to go through every single step all the way, start to finish. But for now, the subject is just so big, it's hard to just pick a starting spot. So I'm kind of going to jump around on a couple of things, but I'm going to try to stick with this is the subject for this video, and then we're going to talk about this, because you need to know about this before I talk about this. Or else you're just going to be lost. And I don't want to be jumping all around in time and space. So I'm going to do it like that, re-edit that, so you understand everything start to finish, and you'll really see how bad things were because of the details. Because the details are missing, and they're really important for the whole situation. Because you could just clearly see from the Netflix documentary how things were bad here in America and how they slowly progressed to the Challenger Foundation when they're out on the boat floating around. And then it's like, okay, well, that is done. So where do we go from there? So he starts consulting for another program. Paradise Cove was on Samoa. Different owners, but 450 boys spread on 5 different locations, but centrally located from Raval Beach. So Steve Cardesano started working with that program as a consultant for another program, which was Pacific Coast Academy. So it's people that know each other, knowing each other, setting up another location. And then I was at that location. This Paradise Cove was shut down, but kids from Pacific Coast Academy are still being used as labor in this program. So we're basically going back and forth between programs, even though one of them is allegedly shut down, and the parents have no idea that the kid is being sent to a legitimate other program just floating around back and forth. And these programs are all built upon land that that the owners themselves own. So every bit of physical labor that is done, every road that's made, every time we dig up rivers to get rocks to make the roads, anytime we dig holes for the plumbing, build follies, which is a hut, that's on us. We're basically improving their land. It's literal child labor that's imported from the United States and one person from Canada to come do labor on their house. That's literally getting a bunch of kids to come work at your house. There is no actual therapy in that. This is clear child exploitation. And besides the physical labor and the stuff that I experienced being there, there's the whole aspect of what my parents went through, because they're in a situation where they're being told, hey, this is a very exclusive school. Like, you're right on the beach. We have horses. We have our own helicopter. We have our own boat. We sail all around the Caribbean. Your kid's going to learn how to fish. They're going to learn how to do all kinds of crazy stuff you would never learn in a normal public school. It sounds amazing, but you're not allowed to talk to your kid for a year because that's part of the program. The whole point is to separate them. They need to learn how to survive on their own, no matter what their problems are. You let us take care of them. We're in charge of them. That's the pitch. It sounds good to a parent. Like, yeah, I'm going to send my kids sailing off on the 7 seas, and it only costs $30,000? Oh, it's because they're in another country, and they're technically a developing nation, so the US dollar counts for a lot more out there. So it makes sense. It literally does. And when you see the brochure, it's beautiful. It's all actors, by the way. None of those kids in the brochure are actually kids that went there at all. It's not even the same location. So all of it is fake, start to finish. The brochure, the pitch, the sales, the how long do you need your kid to be there? Like, why are you separating your child from me for a year? Like, it sounds good, but when you think about it, you're like, oh, it's so that way they don't find out that what I'm doing to this kid for about a year. Like, I have a year to siphon money from you before you realize what I've been doing is totally wrong. So it stacks for about 2 years, and then it just all goes to heck. And then the U.S. government's involved. So it's very clear how as soon as kids start getting out in enough milk, and then when the government is able to step in with an actual videotape direct from the kids saying, hey, we're having a hard time up here. Look at us. We're covered in bug bites. We're all dirty. And there's all kinds of pictures that I have besides the video that's also on my channel. Please check that out. I have pictures that I'd like to look at and be like, what is happening here? Why is every single child head to toe just completely covered in gunk? It's just like, that's not okay. Like when my mom came to visit for the first time after about 1.5 years, she was like, hey, why is everyone so dirty? And she also noticed that everyone was eating sandwiches that had just the bread and, just like a single piece of cheese. And she was like, oh, that's a little interesting. So it was a completely different experience to what she thought it was going to be. Like, she literally expected to show up on a beach, but instead she's taken out to the hills of Samoa. It's like the whole experience, start to finish, from a parent's point of view, is them being tricked as well. They're victims in this situation the whole time. It's not just every single parent's like, oh, my kid deserves the treatment that's out there, and they're getting punished, and it's for their own good. They treated me poorly at home. They stood behind their bedtime or whatever. It's not always like that. There's a whole bunch of kids that were there because their parents thought the place was good. There were people there that thought it was a religious camp. There was a 12-year-old there, you know what I mean, mixed right with 18-year-olds that had completely different issues, completely different. One's a child, barely starting to feel a little bit disruptive, and they need to have a little bit of a disciplinary action, something, just nip it in the bud. There's no reason for this to go any further. Let's stop that behavior. Right next to somebody who's homeless, living in the streets, and their parents are saying, hey, this is the last chance before you go to jail for the rest of your life. Like, those people literally live right in the exact same place. They talk every day. It's mixing people completely together. So literally, this man is taking people, anybody that'll say yes to his program, he'll take them. It doesn't matter what their situation, what their problem is. They could be having a homosexuality crisis, for example. Yeah, this is a gay conversion camp. Bring them. We want them. We want you. We want all your kids out here. We had 2 people that were, there for serious things. I don't want to get into it, but they were very serious, and the law was involved. So they're pitching it as like, okay, well, if your kid does anything else at all, they're going to go get some serious trouble. So the parents are like, oh my God, I have to do this, or my kid's going to spend the rest of their life in jail, because the next time they do something bad, they're going to go to jail for something serious. So you've got people that are just all over the spectrum as far as how bad they should be. Well, all over the spectrum as far as what their level of treatment should be. And it's just all mixed together. It's just one collection pot. Just dump them all out there. And it's, again, wilderness survival. So they are intentionally giving you the least amount of everything. You don't get a lot of food. You don't get a lot of clothes. You don't get sunscreen. You don't get bug repellent. Everything is out of your control. You are hostages in the middle of a jungle, in the middle of a place you've never been to, surrounded by villagers that don't even speak the same language as you. So on top of everything, the age for adulthood is 21. So you got people that are literally 18 that are like, hey, I'm an adult. I should be able to leave. But they're like, no, you're 20. You have to be 21. So literally, they put the seed into your head of, hey, maybe they're right. Maybe I can't leave. Maybe I can't leave this place and I have to stay here. Maybe even though I feel like I'm being held hostage here and I can't talk to my parents at all, maybe I still have to do what my captors are saying. Like, there's so many aspects to this that are just absolutely messed up. And I want to get into every little bit and give it its attention that it deserves. So we're going to make a series of videos. I'm going to mess up. I'm not a professional talker. I'm not a YouTuber. I am just doing the best I can with what I got. And I know that there's so much material that just hasn't even been touched on, specifically with the Pacific Coast Academy program. But I watch TikToks. I've watched videos of people that talk about what their experiences were in programs. They're good. They're good. But they don't have a videotape of a whole bunch of kids literally sharing their experiences as they're happening, and then literally being able to just pan over and see people just covered in wounds. So I feel like I have to be the one to really point out everything that there is, because no one appears to be doing it besides me. So I'm going to step up and really try to make sure that every aspect of everything is clearly understood, and we're going to order it as well as we can. And if I mess up, I'm real sorry. I'm doing the best I can here. But I really appreciate you guys watching everything, and I would love to hear from people that have been to programs. I would love to hear from parents, the good and the bad experiences, whether you think these places are all scams or whether you think that it was actually good for your kid. There's good programs and bad programs. There's ones that are not survival wilderness therapy. There's ones with designated counselors and therapists that teach you things at a school-like location. I'm not talking smack about all those places. I'm talking about the wilderness survival therapy places that literally take you in the middle of nowhere and dump you and expect you to get better somehow. I can't imagine why people think that that's an okay thing to do to somebody, let alone a child, and then afterwards think that they're going to come out better for it. So we're going to go through all of it, start to finish, and thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it.